Part 2. It's a sequel. Okay, so occupy. It says the spirits are subject to you. And this is only revealed to those who are simple, right? There's people who seek these things that have never seen it. Never seen what you've seen or seen what you're going to see. And it was those who ask, receive. Those who knock, it opens to them. Those who seek, it finds. Even in Esther, the decree that went out against the Jewish people, the decree was made that they could rise up and fight against it, right? So, hey, decree went out, sin and sickness, Satan, he created to destroy and form weapons. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This is the heritage of the saints. Read the heritage of Abraham going back and taking what the enemy took from his nephew and making payment of tithes on someone else's money. Read how Jacob went into Laban's life and Laban tried to drop on him and he took his stuff, took his 2 daughters and all his stuff and his future, all his stuff, and took it. He says, everything you have is mine. And he says, that's right, because you prayed that my mom's offspring would possess the gates of the enemy, just like God and the angel spoke over Abraham. And then he says, your seed will possess it. And that seed in New Testament theology is literally Jesus, who will possess the enemies of the gate. And then we who are Abraham and the faith of Abraham also are the heirs of Abraham, and we are heirs of that promise through the seed which is Jesus. And he said, your seed, your offspring will possess your enemies, your adversary will possess their gates, the place of authority, the coming and going. And he gave the keys to Peter, and he says, no, the gates of Hades will not prevail against it, because you'll have faith, you'll be walking in that promise and that seed and that reality, and you'll come into that and actually possess the land that's currently occupied. Now, how do you get all this? Matthew 28. Let's just go freestyle. Matthew 28. He says, all authority has been given to me, so go ye. Let's just stop there. Let's forget the disciples. That we're supposed to make. Go ye. Go back and forth. Traverse. Travel back and forth. Why travel back and forth? Why go out to where these paths are and well, I've anointed you for this purpose, the blind, the captives. Why did he anoint Paul, Saul of Tarsus, to go open the eyes, to free them from the power of Satan? Why did he anoint Jesus to go about doing good, to relieve the power? Why did he loose the woman from the power of Satan? All these things. So go ye, traverse back and forth. When you get a coon dog here in America, in the Ozarks, I read books about it, wanted to be a coon hunter. They release the dogs on the trail of the raccoon. They see where he's at, they see where he's going, and they release it. They can smell it. They can see his results. I saw a raccoon go back and forth from a tree to a garbage can so much, he had a freeway built. It was crazy. It was impacted. It's been walked on. It's been crushed. It's been beaten down. It's been pressed down. And yet he says, go ye, because he has authority. What does that mean? Well, look at Job. Satan comes in. He says, where you been going? I've been going back and forth from the earth. And what did he do when he was released to do it? He brought sickness. He brought death. He brought all those things. So what were the disciples told to do? Go wherever you see oppression and lift it up. You've been anointed. I send you as the Father sent me. And those who believe in your word to do the things that you do as well, not just the apostles. And these things were written that you might have life and life in his name. That quicken, that life is quickened. Romans 8, that you like quicken my mortal body by the Spirit that's in us. And so here we go. Is it for you today? The apostles, they were just like Elisha to Elijah. If you watch me go up, the mantle will be yours. They were looking up. What did the angel say? They said, why are you looking up? In the same manner, he'll come back and then go into Jerusalem and receive power from on high. So it's just them right now. But then it was Cornelius who received it just like them. So the word occupy, he says, occupy till I come. Be about that business. Well, the occupation is where currently Satan is occupied. Until Jesus comes, we're supposed to go into those places and do the same thing. And so we went in, let's go Jerusalem, Israel, first century, right? First church. Hear the words of the Lord. Hear the Bible. Hear the scripture. Hear the power of the Spirit. Hear how the Father agrees with the Son and the church with the Son as the head. Hear these words. So occupy Jerusalem. All the Jews and Christians that resisted it, they tried to resist in their own name, and they were overcome by Rome and destroyed heartily. The sons of Sceva tried to do the same thing in Acts 19, and they were overcome. They were overcome. But yet he says, you will overcome. You will have victory. When Paul was in prison, he told the magistrates from the jailer to go release him because he had authority in that Roman culture. That Roman, what he was born into. What you occupy, what's in your house, what's in the room when you pray for someone's healing. When Stephanie's mom passed away, there was, I just got to say this, there was a Baptist pastor. Not all Baptist pastors speak against healing, but he's like, let her go. There was a doctor that had done something wrong, and she passed away. We found out later there was a port, and that's what ultimately killed her, not the cancer. And it was like, I just got done with a charismatic pastor in another room. We came into that environment, and we were praying over her, and this guy's like, let her go. And like Stephanie and I looked, we were upset. And it's like, in that authority, in that room, it doesn't need to be mold. There doesn't need to be anything else. You need to occupy the space. You need to believe. Jesus says, don't be afraid. Don't doubt. And she will be made well. Totally whole. And if you're thinking that Jesus he only doesn't do it when there's things in the mix. And so how does he work with the sovereignty of it? How does he work with our ignorance? How does he work with all that stuff? But I never say it's his will. It's not his desire that any should perish. That's what it says in the New Testament. It says it's not his will or desire. In Ezekiel 18, he says it twice, that any should be destroyed because of their sins. And sin is the original of sickness and death. So let's get all that stuff out of the room. Let's take John and Peter, and even Peter did this as well in Acts chapter 9. He escorted everybody out of the room. They were there to celebrate her life and show little trinkets and all that stuff. And he says, get out of here. And he went in with her and healed her. And even the shadow of Peter was healing people. The shadow is what got in the way of Peter that might dilute the light. And Peter had a couple problems with hypocrisy and different choices. I get it, earthen vessels, all these things. And to those who say, oh, in sovereign will that God can do a miracle, that God would, and it's those people who violently possess it have seen it. And when it's their job and it's when they're focused, they have seen it. And it's not for me to prove to anybody on this video that what happened in Guatemala on the last video, I guess, is real. It was real, and it happened when everything else was taken out of the room. It was there when Jesus was allowed to be Jesus. And so, what is hospice doing in the room? What is a mother-in-law doing in the room? What are these things doing in the room? Bring in the reality of what God can do. Bring in the reality of God, what he can do. George Mueller, man of faith back in history. I don't ascribe to everything, don't know everything the guy all about, but I know about faith. And he would say, don't pray, you don't believe, let me pray. And it would happen. To all those that believe. And then we want to address this. Luke 4, he talks about there's many widows and only one outside of Israel was gone to. And then he says there's many lepers, but yet one out of Syria was healed. So he said, physician, heal yourself. Oh, we know where you came from, all these things. When he said those things about the widow and the Syrian Naaman, they said that about him. He literally, like they wanted to kill him and throw him off a cliff. When is healing and what God can do make people angry? Well, let's go to 2 Chronicles 16:9 through the end of the little thing with Asa, right? All the way through the end of the chapter with Asa. Let's look at that. He says, you trusted me when the Ethiopians came and I gave you deliverance. Now, do I not look throughout the earth to work on behalf of the one whose heart is loyal? That comes back later when Hezekiah receives healing, when he's told he's going to die by Isaiah, and he says, my heart is loyal to you, and God provides fig poultice to heal him. And Hezekiah was the one that destroyed the serpent and the snake. You ever see that? A serpent on a snake before? He destroyed that because it became a stronghold. Even though it was something God provided, they began to look at that, not God. And so it didn't work anymore. It kept him in bondage, and then God healed him through fig poultice or fig ointment. And we see naturopathic doctor. How about God? We look to God in everything. Anything can work. If we look to everything but God, nothing will work. And so anyway, Asa, he says he'll work on behalf. And then because of this, you didn't do it, you'll have wars continually. So he got mad at the seer, the prophet that came to him, and he locked him up and oppressed the people. He got angry at the fact that he had access to God and didn't take it. And then literally in the same little passage, few verses later, 2 Chronicles 16, check it out, make you do the homework. He says, Asa became sick in his feet and sought not God, but the physicians, and died. So there's a scripture. There's no scripture that says God works through the hands of physicians, but there is. So what it is it a provision where God can just go and directly and go get? I had a friend in Arkansas that died because everybody's praying over, speaking in tongues, doing all that stuff, and she could have just taken a few little, I forget what it was, antibiotics. So is it wrong for glasses? Is it wrong for antibiotics? It's wrong to have a heart that doesn't believe that God can do it. It's wrong to have a heart to seek anything but that. And when God, he's paid for dentist appointments for me and not healed my teeth. He's done things. But when in the room, I'm not rolling out my Rolodex of what God's going to do and everything. I'm allowing him to do what he wants to do in the room. And when you say he doesn't, he can't. And how's the proof of that? In the scripture, it says he didn't do works because of their unbelief. Otherwise, when they came, he healed all of them. Even when that man was lowered into Elisha's grave, he was popped alive. The bones, the structure, the reality of what we're talking about is real. So Asa, he got angry. There's I wouldn't call her a minister, but there's somebody, a denominational expression that they bring into all the anti-charismatic meetings, and she's paralyzed. And if you go up to her and ask her to pray, she gets angry and says, I'll be healed in the life to come. In the life to come. So it's your thorn, it's your weakness, it's your infirmity. God's not going to remove it, all that stuff. Where's the power? Where's the great revelation of the third heaven? Where's the power that is made known in your weakness? Where is the strength of it? Because there's a guy back in Greenwood, Arkansas, like he's suffering from a certain, he doesn't believe in healing. He's a Calvinist. He's all these things, but he has an infirmity, and he's becoming known for that. What about shaking that off like Paul did and then healing everybody else rather than just walking in your sickness and your weakness? What about that? What about this kid that's talking to you right now, hydrocephalus, born as a kid, didn't literally walk or talk till 3 years old, was in speech class till in 5th grade, little tremors, Parkinson-like syndrome, development, brain development, all these things. 49 years old right now, drugs, alcohol, divorced family, 1.78 GPA in high school, couldn't think without individual one-on-one, which is common with hydrocephalus, right? Homelessness, went to war, wasn't soldier, but I was in that environment. You develop certain things. Where's that? Where's the effects of these things? When I'm trusting in the Lord and myself. And I want to do this as well, because Elisha, I've touched on this, that he died of a sickness, though he had the power to do twice as many miracles as Elijah. But yet Gehazi took on sickness, he took on the world, he took on all these things. Who pursued for him? So in my case, and I'll close with this, with COVID, I reached out and asked the body to come, right? So I got sick and asked the body to come. When I had a brain virus, a real brain virus that was killing me, I called a brother and he said, I need to deal with forgiveness. In James 5, it says, practice this thing like it's supposed to be. Don't throw in a lazy word of doctrine of somebody that didn't experience it, so made a total doctrine out of it. Let God be God in the room. Let him have you focus. Say, do not be afraid. Occupy. Is the enemy in this room? Is he oppressing that woman that's been held by Satan for 18 years and nothing could have helped her? Not even the doctors. And yet Jesus came along, and if they can do it, let them do it. It's not the devil if it's able to be done by man, but it's Jesus. When he comes in, when it is the devil, when it is sickness, when it is destruction, when it is oppression, when he comes into the room, he brings Peter, James, and John, and the people who care the most for that little girl. And even then, they were astonished at what he could do. Help my unbelief, close the gap. But even that one guy, he asked, if you can help me. And Jesus looked, and if actually instills doubt where it wasn't before. And Jesus says, if you can believe. He actually said, if, like I put doubt that you could even believe for this, but it's not about what I can do. And then in Luke 18, he says, will the Son of Man come and find faith on the earth? It's all up to us. And 100% of everything in the right environment, the right faith, the right belief, the right people in the room with the right speaking things, it's for it. And I'll stand on that. I'll stand on that. Yeah, it didn't work there. It didn't work this. It didn't do this. It did never on God. It was about the alignment of everything right, and then those cuttings lived. Then that cat won't, like, I'm working towards what needs to be, and I want you to do it as well. Bless you today. Just be in faith, walk in this, get alone with God, get for it, seek Him, press into it, go after it, and find it. In Jesus' mighty name, be violent in pursuing what God has for you. And yeah, in Jesus' mighty name, authority. He's been given it, and He will cast down. It's the finger of God to do all these things. He bound the strong man. He did it. And you are His representatives to demonstrate that same thing. In Jesus' mighty name.